focus on is helping people to get back to a place of hope. Hope.
The morning show worth talking about. Faith at Work with Yvette Gavin.
Hello, and welcome to Faith at Work. I am your host, Yvette Gavin. Many people will spend a lifetime chasing after dreams, only to find emptiness in its accomplishments. Others never quite make it to their dreams and resign themselves to failure. Dream chasing is only relevant if it's rooted in God's calling on your life. When God sparks a dream in your heart, you won't be able to let it go. You will chase it until God's purpose has been fulfilled within you. There are 4 biblical lessons I want to share with you about dream chasing from the life of David. The first one is that God chooses you for this dream. 1 Thessalonians 1:4 says, "For we know, brothers and sisters, loved by God, that he has chosen you." Now, David was just minding his own business with the sheep out in the field, and before he knew it, he was chosen to become the next king of Israel. Now, David was immediately filled with the Spirit of God, with great power. David didn't even have a clue about God's dream for him. And we too can be awakened to a greater purpose for our lives when God chooses us. You can read that whole story about David in 1 Samuel, the 16th chapter. Now, the second lesson about dream fulfilled that we can learn from David's life is this: God supernaturally gifts you with what you need for the dream. A gift opens the way, Proverbs 18:16 says, and ushers the giver into the presence of the great. Now, not only did David kill a lion and a bear with his own hands, but he also looked down a great warrior with a sling and a stone. Yeah, he looked him down. He took him down. Instantly, he became a famous celebrity, if you will, in Israel, leading 1,000 men into battle and marrying the king's daughter. When we are gift for the dream, the Lord allows a season of censoring great expectations from within and around us. David did that again in 1 Samuel in that 16th chapter. You start reading this around the 18th verse. And number 3, guys, 3 lessons that we can learn from David's life when we're talking about chasing and achieving dreams. This is the one that most people don't like to deal with, but it is a reality. Number 3, God allows trials to test your dream. In James 1:3, the word of God says, "Because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance." David wasn't long into his celebrity status before King Saul wanted to kill him. In a very short time, he was yanked from his brief charmed life to being a man on the run. He had to live with the responsibility of priests being killed because of him. His wife was given to another man. Hello, somebody. His family was displaced, and he was surrounded by discontented men. During this time, David learned to trust in God and receive strength even when times were difficult. Oftentimes, guys, in our dream chasing, we will have times of trouble. Yet this increases our dependency on God, and we come to know him more intimately. Now, number 4, God provides for you in the journey towards your dream. Now, the word says, "Now may the God of peace equip you with everything good for doing his will, and may he work in you what is pleasing to him." That's Hebrews 13, the 20th verse. David was far from the comforts of his home and the king's palace when he was on the run. He had to learn how to navigate his way through treacherous territories. And the Lord always provided a place for David to hide. He was provided food and provision through Abigail, who later became his wife. When Saul was close to capturing David, the Lord provided a distraction with the Philistines in battle. God knows what we need and when we need it, when we are making our way towards our dreams. It's Leadership Handbag time. This is the segment where I share with you a leadership tip or tool that you can apply to your career right now. The leadership tool that I have for you today is a book by David Schwartz entitled The Magic of Thinking Big. In the book, you will learn how to build the tools of success that can help you achieve your dream. Today, I am talking to the boss lady, Cameka Smith, founder of Boss Network. We're going to be talking about how she followed her dream and built a highly successful network of women, encouraging and equipping them for their businesses and how to advance their careers. So you stay tuned, because we'll be right back after this break, and Cameka Smith of the Boss Network will share with you some additional tips and tools to grow your career.
The perfect way to start your day. Family, traffic, meetings, family, all can be stressors in our everyday lives, but spending a few minutes with God can prepare you to take on the world. The Faith at Work devotional is a perfect vehicle to do just that by helping you center on what's most important, your relationship with God. And now, for your donation of any amount, you'll receive a copy of the Faith at Work devotional. Just visit our website at www.faithatwork.tv.
Welcome back, everyone. I am here on set with Cameka Smith. When I say that she is the real boss, she is the boss. As I shared with you earlier, Cameka Smith is the founder of the Boss Network, and the BOSS stands for Bringing Out Successful Sisters. It is my pleasure to welcome to the show Cameka Smith. Hi, Cameka.
Yvette, hi, how are you? I'm just so glad to be here on this glorious day.
It's such an honor to have you.
It's an honor to be here. Yes, I love what you're doing. Faith at Work, it makes so much sense. And, encouraging believers, it's, truly something that I'm very passionate about. So just to have this conversation with you, I'm looking forward to it.
And indeed, you really are passionate about it, and you live out that passion every day. I mean, I'm one of your influencers, and you are my mentor, and you've taught me so much about growing my business. And even, I just love how you've encouraged me in my faith as well. But before we get started, will you tell our audience just a little bit more about you and the Boss Network?
Absolutely. So again, like I said, I love Faith at Work because a huge part of my journey really is my faith walk. I tell people all the time, entrepreneurship is a faith walk. You can't really do this type of work without having, faith in God and belief in something higher than yourself. Amen. And so for me, that journey started many, many years ago. As a young person, I, was raised in church, and, I knew I always had this wanting to help people. I didn't really know in what way, but I knew that was something that I really wanted to do with my life. I wanted to encourage people. I wanted to help people. My pastor, my first lady, were very instrumental in my upbringing. They were servant leaders. And so in their servanthood, I just saw how they poured into our community, through just philanthropy and give back. And so they encouraged us as young people to really have that type of heart. And so because of that, that's how I grew up. And, as I went into my, my college years and then in my career, I knew that was something that was really important to me to be able to, talk about like how far God had brought me, just having, certain struggles as a young person and then trying to figure out life. But he was always there along the way. And so that type of relationship that I had with God, it really, catapulted everything in my life, from my career to, even moving into entrepreneurship.
Yes. Amen. So let's go back to the beginning of Boss Network and share with us what that was like, leaving, your professional career and following the voice of God to start the network.
Absolutely. So, I feel like sometimes, we have those situations where, most of us, we were trying to find our purpose, right? That's probably our biggest thing in life. It's like, what is my purpose? What am I called to do? What does God, challenge me to do with my life? And so I knew very, very early, like I said, that was going to be something in service. And so even though I was in education, I was an administrator for Chicago Public Schools. I was very successful in my career. I saw very much a lot of strides. I had moved, up the corporate ladder, as you could speak, because of relationships that I was able to build. And even the people that God placed in my life as bosses and, people that were, in authority over me, they were believers. They were servant leaders. And so just having that type of mentorship, it really just kind of solidified for me that where I was going and what I was trying to do was the right path. And that I didn't have to change who I was as a believer. I didn't have to water down my faith to do the work that I was doing. And so, when I tell people my job broke up for me, I got laid off in 2009, most people would have been, just in shambles. I was so excited. I was like, I've been working since I was 12 years old. I'm like, I finally get a break, I mean, I was like, okay, I can get unemployment for 2 years. This is a time, I'm not, like, other people that can go backpack in Europe and do all those things. I didn't have those luxuries. So I felt like this is a time in my life, at the time I was like 29 years old, that I can actually take a break and really figure out what it is that I want to do. And I had the luxury of having, a cushion financially. I was a big saver. And so I had, a lot of savings. And I just wanted to really just experience life as a 20-something-year-old Black woman. And so I had a business that I had started years prior, because entrepreneurship was always something that was a part of my livelihood. Being raised by a single mother, it was my job as an older sibling to try to help her as much as I could. So working jobs, doing little things like hair and nails and whatever I could to help, make extra money to help her out with my college education, all that stuff. It was something that I was really committed to. And so when I got laid off, I was like, you know what, I'm going to just take a break. I'm going to focus on my business, and see if I can grow this. Maybe, I can do this full time. Really wasn't 100% committed to like making that happen. But I was like, I'm going to give it a try. Right.
Yes.
Because I just didn't think that it could be something that I could do long term. Not that I didn't have the faith. It was just like, I love my career. I love working with young people. I love education. I love inspiring and pushing people to that next level. So I knew that I would go back to work, but God had other plans.
Yes. And I just love everything you just said, because you're absolutely right. Oftentimes things will happen in our lives and many people will just fall flat, right? It's like, oh, I got laid off. But your mindset was totally different. You saw it as an opportunity, an opportunity to go do something.
But that scripture that, faith without works is dead, that is something that my mom and my pastors, they taught us very early. So I knew that whatever I did, even if I prayed, I had to put the work in behind it.
Exactly.
I wasn't really worried because I know I had great relationships. I knew that the moment I decided I wanted to go back to work, I could reach out to administrators, principals, people in leadership, and people would give me a job like that. It wasn't an issue for me. And so, being able to go into entrepreneurship with that freedom of having a plan, having, financial stability, it made things a lot easier for me. It was like kind of like carefree. And so I think because of that, because people always say, you got to do what you love, because if you don't do what you love, you're going to end up giving up, because you got to do something that you're willing to do, whether you get paid or not, especially in entrepreneurship, because it's going to take some time for you to make some money. Yes. And so because I was so passionate about, my business, which was at the time an event marketing company, I love creating events. I love marketing. I love bringing people together. It was just like, this is like a hobby for me. It's like, I just love it. And then I can get paid for it. Okay, that's great. So when I was having a few struggles in the beginning, it didn't really feel so stressful because, I really knew that, things could eventually turn around. But the interesting thing about it was when I started out, it wasn't to create an organization for Black women entrepreneurs and career women to help them. It was more so I wanted to grow my business as a event, producer and marketer. And while I was talking to different entrepreneurs and seeing how they were starting their journeys, it was just like this thing in me that said, you know what, you're learning so much. You have all these great relationships. People are really pouring into you. What if you extend that to other women who might not have that blessing of a great network of people that want to pour into them? And so as an event planner, I just said, okay, I'm going to create a series of events solely for the purpose of helping Black women, entrepreneurs, minority women get resources and, strategies to grow their business. And it was like a side project while I was trying to build clients for my business. It was never supposed to be its own business.
Wow.
And I made sure of that because I would be like, City Global Events presents Boss, series. I did not want that to be the main thing because I wanted people to focus on my, my talent as an event producer. But God had other plans.
Yes, and it's so amazing because it all came together. I've heard a lot and I've read a lot of work about how God just moved, how we think some things are insignificant in our lives, but they really aren't. I mean, they may appear at the time, but I see how even with the Boss Network, how your love for event planning, how you're doing that in the Boss Network as well. Your love for helping others grow spiritually and professionally, that's in the Boss Network. You know what I mean?
Give us the desires of our hearts, Yvette. And he knew that was something I was very passionate about and I loved. And so he made sure that he created something where I could because the thing about it is I have so many gifts and talents, that he blessed me with. And I'm the type of person where I'm like, what do they say? I'm not a master of anything, but I'm like, I'm really good at a whole lot of stuff. So, I like having like all these different skill sets, but I get bored very easily. So I really can't just stick to one thing and just do that. I probably wouldn't even be successful as an event planner because if that's all I did, I probably would get bored.
Right.
I had the ability to do so many different things that encompasses all of my passions, event planning, education, training, teaching, marketing, social media. I'm able to do everything that I love in this one business. So God, he knew.
And it's so powerful. And one of the components that you love that you've already mentioned is helping young people. And you have the Boss Network on campus. So tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, absolutely. That, one of the things that was important to me, in addition to just helping women in general, specifically minority women, I knew that I had to keep that close to young people because I feel like young people are our future. I remember myself as a teenager and I didn't have a lot of direction, but I knew I had some greatness in me. I knew I was destined to do something great. I just didn't really know how to get there. And so I just wanted to make sure that I created a space for young people like myself who did not have those luxuries of, going to a school where maybe like their counselor really, really sat down with them and said, hey, let's plan out your life, because, they have a caseload of kids and they're trying to just keep up with, the challenges of their job. I didn't have, parents who went to college or, even siblings that went to college. I think I had one cousin that had went to college, but she was in college while I was in high school. So she wasn't really able to she was an inspiration for me, but she was trying to figure it out herself, So I was kind of first generation in my family. And, so when I created Boss on Campus, I wanted it to be a space where young people could be inspired by other successful women. Because what I saw was a lot of young people who were interested in like entertainment and sports, because that's all they saw. That's all they saw when it came to successful Black people. You're either, in sports or you're in entertainment. You can't be successful in a career and make a lot of money or be a millionaire. And that's just not the case. And so for me, it was being able to put in front of them examples of successful women, entrepreneurs, career women, who are doing great things so they could broaden their horizons as far as like what success looked like for them.
Awesome. Awesome. where we're going to take a quick break. But when we come back from this break, Kamika, I want you to share with us any faith challenge that you have had. And especially, I know a lot of people are struggling right now within this pandemic and just maintaining their faith when it comes to their business, and even some with their careers, with so many people having job loss. So if you would just share with us maybe an example from your own life that would inspire and encourage others, and something we can give back. But right after this break, okay?
I got you.
Awesome. Thank you.
As I walk through the cemetery today, I see the loved ones that have passed on. Our families are leaving here in record numbers. And as they are leaving, I'm wondering, are they leaving us a legacy? Our Bible tells us to write the vision and make it plain. So I have a question for you today. Do you have a will?
We're back. Right before the break, I asked Kamika to share with us one of the challenges that she has faced in leading the Boss Network. It was a two-part question because I also want her to share with us any information that can help anyone who may be struggling right now with maintaining their faith in the face of a pandemic and other crises. So Kamika,
Yes.
will you share, please?
Yeah. Let me tell you, COVID has been, it's been interesting. My focus is on minority women, specifically Black women. And so I was having this conversation with some women that I coached the other day, and we were talking about how, the pandemic, it really tested not only our faith, but also our, resilience when it comes to our businesses, right? But one of the things that I've seen is that most of the women that I work with, they are thriving in the pandemic. And so, the question was, why do you think that's the case? And I said, well, we are a people that comes from generations of people that had to survive, that had to overcome, that had to, make it through struggles and resilience. So that's in our DNA, so those type of challenges, it doesn't really knock us out. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
We take a couple punches and we like, okay,
Back up.
done that, we're still in the fight. And so I say that to say that the challenge for me was, and I think that's for people in general, it is this whole thing of having success and then life happening, right?
Yes,
because the two are not
right.
intertwined. You can have a lot of great success and then your life can be just going awry. Right. And so this last year, my family is very, very close. And my mom, she has 7 siblings and they were raised together because they lost their mom and my mom was like 2. So we're very, very close because they're all they had growing up, and so my mom lost 3 siblings in 2 years back to back, and they've never lost a sibling. And then in April, right when COVID hit, my 15-year-old niece passed away, and so, the family couldn't attend the funeral. Only my brother and I was able to travel to California to bury her. It was a very small, and just dealing with those type of personal things while you have to run a business and then you have success. And so sometimes you feel like, you're not even really happy about the success because it's like, this is great, but this is what's important. This is what really matters. And so for me, this last year, I think for a lot of people has really put into perspective what is important. Relationship with God is important because that's what sustains us through all these challenges that we face.
So true.
Making sure that it's God, family, business, right? That is my motto, right? Right. So family comes first and finding that balance of like, yes, this thing is really important. Work is important. Building business is important. Having financial security is important. But I got to make sure that my heart is right. I got to make sure that those that I love are good. Because other than that, the things that you're striving for, they don't really have the same meaning, when everything else is, array. And so trying to figure out that balance of, troubles will come, tests will come. We have to, recognize what it is and then just kind of find our way forward, because life is for the living, you know. And my first lady, who was my mentor, she taught me that, you know, not having a relationship with God is not going to stop you from having challenges. Having a relationship with God is going to help you through those challenges, because you got somebody that you can put those burdens on. It's not for us to carry. And so that, for me, has been the wisdom in this season of, you know, realizing that these challenges are going to come. People will pass away. You know, businesses will, you know, fail. Clients will leave. People will say no. But you got to keep moving forward and find the joy in everyday life.
Oh, that's so good. That is, oh, my heart is just so full, because there were so many gold nuggets there. You know, I love what you said about, you know, it's God first, family, then the business. And, you know, there's a verse in the Bible that speaks to success will come, but God judges the motives of our hearts first. So I think that's so important. And that's what I was just hearing you say. You know, it's not just being successful, but it's also understanding more of that. Why do we want these things? Why are they important? And realizing that they're not that important if we're not, you know, in God's will, and that we have that, you know, that loving branch of that family there. That was powerful.
Yeah, thank you so much. And then one of my mentors, Sherry Riley, who is out of Atlanta as well, you know, she says, peace is the new success. And when it's simple, but girl, when I tell you, that thing just spoke to my spirit, and I was like, listen, that's true. Because if I don't have no peace in that thing, I don't want it.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I love that. Peace is the new success. Oh yeah, I'm using that one too. I feel that as well. Because, you know, if you're successful, but, you know, you don't have any peace, no joy, you can't even really enjoy the money.
It becomes burden.
Yes.
You know, and then you start to, you know, some people that I've heard that have, you know, start to resent their success. It's like, you know, what is all this for? You know, if I'm not even happy, because now I feel like I'm living double lives, right? I have to show up this way, but my heart is not full. And no, we can't be out here living like that. Mask off.
And be who you are authentically. I love it. I have so enjoyed this time with you. And I'm definitely going to have you back on the show, because you are amazing. You are rich with wisdom. And I love so much that you're so rooted in the Word of God. So I'm definitely going to invite you back. So you just get ready.
I would love to. So much. We got so much to talk about. So much.
Awesome. Well, guys, it has been my pleasure to bring you Cameka Smith. I know she has inspired you today as much as she has inspired me. Well, I am Yvette Gavin, here with Cameka Smith of the Boss Network, reminding you that faith without works is dead.